an expert. I am joined here by the wonderful Dr. Jillian Johnson, and we are here tonight to talk about both equine and human chiropractic care. Jillian is a expert in both, and so we were just talking about before this. Should we talk about just one or the other? And I was like, I mean, you have the knowledge on both. Let's dive into both. So, Dr. Jillian, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you taking the time.
Oh my God, this is a dream. Thank you so much. I love to share what we do, and education is so near and dear to my heart. So I'm so excited.
Awesome. Well, let's start by learning a bit more about you. What is your background? How did you get into this? How I think it's probably pretty unique to have an expertise in both equine and human chiropractic care. Kind of tell us more about you and your story.
Absolutely. So my story started when I was very young. My dad was in international construction, so I'm an only child and moved around the world every 6 months to 3 years. It was a new school, so animals were always my way, and horses specifically were my way of finding myself and finding my safety when I moved. And I remember being 9 years old with a horse that had a really significant rear leg injury. And the vet care wasn't what it is nowadays, obviously. And she struggled and she was off for about 6 to 8 months, limping, atrophy, loss of muscle. I mean, you could see her pelvis. And I was distraught the whole time. My dad was distraught. And one of his surf buddies was our chiropractor. And, he was letting off some steam, maybe complaining about some vet bills, this horse that I wasn't riding. And he goes, "Well, Marshall, I work on horses, right?" And my dad's like, "Cool, man. Like, what do we have to lose?" And I remember that moment, and it really was a change your life moment when I saw him adjust her and the relief on her face. And I was like, that's it. That's what I need to dedicate my life to. And I feel so blessed that I got that so early on. Like, it makes me tear up because I love what I do so much. And then it was like finding out, how do you become an animal chiropractor, right? Like, how do you do that? And it's becoming a lot more mainstream now, but it definitely wasn't when I wanted to when I was 9 years old. And so I thought, okay, you become a veterinarian. So I told my parents I needed to go to boarding school. And I took myself out of a really fun school in Aruba and went to boarding school, and then was hell bent on going to vet school. Turns out I would make a terrible vet because I have a great gift of intuition and empathy. And I worked at the vet school and I was like, I can't do this. Like, what am I going to do? I've spent my whole life trying to get here. And then I was like, well, ew, people, but I guess I go to human chiropractic school and then do animals. So then I went to human chiropractic school and actually really loved working on people. It definitely was one of those, there's no way I'd ever do that stories. Um, and then I started my business right out of school. I worked however many jobs I needed to and really thought I was going to focus on horses, a little bit of riding. And what I would notice is every horse I would work on for the same owner had very similar things. And if anyone knows me, I like to fix it. We have a ton of modalities here in my office because I want you to leave better and I want to give you the tools to do that. And so adjusting the person with the horse just made sense. And that's kind of where, you and the horse you rode in on as one of our taglines was born. And from there, I was mobile and we added a massage therapist and we started going to shows. I was mobile in the Tampa area for a while, got burnt out on driving, honestly. Wanted a better life, wanted to see my own horses more. Moved up to Ocala in 2020 because no time to pack like the pandemic, right? I finally had some time off. So moved up here and just started going around to horse shows. And then the office at the World Equestrian Center became available. And how can you say no to the World Equestrian Center? So we decided to open an office and start expanding. About that same time, I bought my first big girl horse, really beautiful, really well bred. And turns out three weeks after purchasing her, she tries to attack me like a stallion. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I work with horses every single day. I've grown up around them. I'm not a, oh my God, the ears are back person. And I was like, okay, well, clearly she's in pain. And we started digging and digging and digging. And the more I found out about her past, the more I kind of understood a little bit more. And at that point in my life and career, I was very do it my way. I'm going to ride. You're going to do what I say. Like, this is the way that this relationship works. It was more obedience, and there wasn't really a conversation. And this marriage transformed everything for me because you couldn't fight with her. There was no do it my way or do this. She's 17 hand of chestnut mare that says, sure, let's talk about it. Um, and so I started doing groundwork with her and restarting her. And that's where the piece of energy and intuition came in for me. So I had my school, I did the science thing, I was all about alignment. And then there was this moment working with her where I just kind of felt myself shift and ask her to move over, and she did. We've all had this moment riding. You think it and they do it. We just don't really talk about it. And I was like, cool. I wonder if I can do this while I'm working on horses. And then kind of started me down this path of looking for what else is in the body. And so now I am actually launching this in January. It's called the Biointuitive Connection Method. And it's something that we're bringing into practice. And then eventually I want to teach other professionals. And it's really about nervous system regulation, as well as chiropractic, as well as emotional release. Um, and then I also had this pivotal moment that was called neuroemotional technique. And it's a technique I'm very passionate about. It's a human technique that I'm adapting to animals and do on all my riders. And it allows you to release stress in the subconscious. So, how many of us know we shouldn't eat a cheeseburger, but we do anyway, right? And we keep going back to it because somewhere in our body we feel safe when we do it. Well, that happens when we ride, that happens when we train, and all kinds of stuff. So, this has really kind of all come together to make us very different here. And my path has been very dramatically shifted, very, I think, on purpose to bring us here and to the way that we practice. Um, yeah.
It is so cool. Your story, I mean, I love the path this is taking you down, and I think it's super cool just how you're continually like driving for better and for more knowledge and to just be a better like partner for these horses and stuff. We're really lucky to have you as part of the community.
Thank you so much.
So, as we think about kind of chiropractic care for horses and for riders, what does that look like on your day to day? Like, are you going to farms and adjusting horses, and then separately, do people come into you to like, get their own adjustments? And like, how does that all? What does a day to day look like?
Sure, absolutely. So it used to be me as a solo practitioner going and kind of adjusting whoever's at the barn and their horses. Now we have this very beautiful AC office for our people with tons of modalities. We've got IV therapy, we've got a boutique. So my day to day as the animal chiropractor, I go to the barns or at WAC if you're showing here, and I adjust the animals. Sometimes I do NET on the person and the horse there at a barn. I will do that. And then my riders come in to the office and get treated. And then I also do dogs, so I'm in the office a little bit doing that.
Got it. And for the horses, do you need to see them go before you adjust them, or how? What's that process like?
You know, I wish I was one of those people because I always look at someone and go, oh, how do you see that? But my superpower is my feel. And so for me, I just like to be in the stall with them. And as my process has evolved, so I used to adjust a horse in 15 minutes, pretty industry standard of going in, getting a great adjustment, doing good work. Now it takes a lot longer because I walk in and I don't ask anything of them. I just stand there. And when has that horse ever had anybody come into that stall and not ask it to do something? And you'll see them go, oh, and then all of a sudden they want to come to you. Then they're interested. And then I go through, I actually work with massage therapists as well. So with us, you get massage and you get chiro and you get NET and all the fun stuff that we do. So usually I have them start off with a massage, get that nervous system regulated, stretch things out, loosen things up. And then I go in and kind of check what's still holding on. I'll adjust them, I'll stretch them. And then depending on what we find, I do a lot of groundwork integration into my work. So if a horse is bracing, right, that pattern has to be broken in their head or they're going to go right back. So it's kind of like you, if you come in with poor posture and you're on your phone in my waiting room doing this, and we adjust you, and then you go right back out the door like this. Did we make a difference? I mean, maybe a little bit, but not one that's going to stick. So I do a lot of that. And then we're really big on homework. So we like to bring the trainer in, whoever, the groom, the owner, and really talk about what we find, give them stretches, give them exercises, give them groundwork. I've just now started teaching groundwork as well, just because everything is so, you can fix so much on the ground.
Yeah, that's super cool. Um, okay, so when you're going in and adjusting the horses, and I'm just picturing myself when I've gone to a chiropractor, like there are moments where it's like, oh my God, like that was an extreme feeling. Are the, I mean, are the horses pretty am, like amenable to this experience, or are
Yeah.
do they get nervous? Like, what is that like?
So it's really funny you say that. So when I first started adjusting and I was going in there and I was like, I'm going to move some stuff, and being a woman, I always heard, oh, you can't do it. Or like, do you need help or do you need a chain or whatever? So I went in there with like a little bit of an ego when I first started and I was like, I'm going to move some stuff. And I noticed the horses never yawned as much as they did like on all the videos online. And I was like, why is that? I'm doing good work. Now with my work, I'll do it. Like I'll adjust something. So say the pelvis is really stuck. I'll adjust it and I'll step back and give the horse a second to go, what just happened? You're right, right? Like what just happened? Process it, release it. Sometimes they'll stand there for 5 minutes just yawning in a row and then come out of it and come back to me and go, would you do something else, please? Versus
How
me going here and here and here and here and
Yeah,
here. I mean, that's not relaxing to anybody, right?
how
Especially when you
cool.
can't say, hey, by the way, when I touch this sore spot, this is what's going to happen because we don't have that ability to do that with them. So I feel like that time is really, really important.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, give me 1 second. I have someone at my door knocking.
Yeah,
Just
you're
one
good.
give me 1 second, I
You're good.
apologize. Sorry about that. Okay, that is such a cool experience that the horses are having such a positive response to. I mean, it also makes sense, like, you're giving them relief, and I'm sure that
Yeah.
they appreciate that, and
Hmm.
Um, super cool. So when you work with horses and their riders, what kind of themes do you see there? Like, are you seeing if a rider is particularly tight on the left side, is the horse also like, do you see that kind of thing happen?
I used to want it to be that easy, but it really depends, right? Because your horse is going to compensate for you, but they're also going to, if you're bracing. So the thing I see most is people that are a little imbalanced and tend to like pull with a hand more. So then that'll correlate to the mouth, and then they start bracing from the mouth down to the lower neck, in through the back, hollowing out, and the pelvis on the other side. So it really depends. I wish it was as easy as saying, oh, you sit more on your right, it's going to be the right SI. But the really amazing thing is that bodies are amazing adapters, which make them amazing to our detriment sometimes cheaters. And horses have forelegs, so you think we can cheat for a long time. So the way that they're able to kind of take our issues and put them in different places is really really amazing.
Yeah, it is wild. Um, okay, so how do you determine whether a horse is a good candidate for chiropractic care?
Sure. I would say at least unless there's like a lameness that your vet needs to take a look at first. Um, Everybody's a good candidate for chiropractic care. I always tell people it's so worthwhile to get a baseline on your animal, even if you don't plan to do continued care, which I recommend you do, because so many times, so say the horse is getting imported, right? And it comes over, it's stressed out, it's been on a plane, it has no idea what's going on, it gets given a new rider, a new saddle that probably doesn't fit yet, you know, and they are expected to perform. Well, wouldn't you like to know that by the way, the right hind is a little tighter. So when we warm up, I'm going to give you more of an opportunity to warm this up without asking you to do something that you can't do. So to me, it's getting the information so that you can have a conversation and have fun because that's what we're here for, right? We're supposed to enjoy this thing, not get frustrated.
Yeah, absolutely. And same question for a rider. Is there are the like are you what makes a good candidate for a human?
You
Um
ride horses, you should be adjusted. That's what makes horses make you a good candidate. We've all fallen off. We all go imbalanced. And the really hard thing about riding all the time is that we develop these patterns that work, right? And with these patterns, you're constantly re-engaging them unless somebody says, "Hey, don't do that." And so chiropractic can help you identify. In my office, we have a personal trainer and a fit lab. You come in, you work with the chiropractor. I tell you what I'm seeing on the horse. That chiropractor has that information. Then they give it to the fit lab professional, and then we build a way to actually like start activating that right glute that you can't do. So you can stop pulling on your horse here so that you can both heal and move forward.
okay, and I'm sure that there's a lot of these, but what are some of the biggest misconceptions that riders have about chiropractic work in the equestrian world?
Oh my goodness, how long do we have?
Yeah.
Biggest misconception is that horses are supposed to pop. Everyone wants horses to pop like people. They're on four legs, they're not supposed to. Every now and then you will get cavitations, which is what the popping is called, the release of gas in certain situations. But our job is to restore range of motion, not put on a loud show for someone. That's one of the things I see all the time. A common misconception is that if you get adjusted once, you're going to need it forever. You get adjusted, you're going to want to feel better. Our goal for people is to, you might see you up front, you and your animal up front, but then we want to pace you out because we want you to start doing it on your own. You just need more support in the beginning to find the way to do it. That a horse has to work hard enough for an adjustment, aka he's not in enough work to justify it. Again, I like to start young. Birth is traumatic, learning to walk is traumatic, running around is traumatic, playing like a 2-year-old is traumatic. So why not get them adjusted periodically so their body learns to move the way it's supposed to, not through a restriction? Because every single training session, every single day, the horse is an amazing adapter and they're learning, oh, the right hind hurts. So great. We don't need that. Let's do this. And unless you take that pattern out, you're going to eventually have a big problem.
Absolutely. I think, there's also, like I mean, I'm sure you hear this too, just, like, having had chiropractic care and, I don't know, there seems to be a wide spectrum of people who are administering chiropractic care. It like, what should people look out for both the horses and what like, kinda what certifications or, education should somebody have in order to adjust your horse? And then also same for the rider.
I love that. When I first moved to Ocala, there was very few of us here, and I would go to a barn, get my table out, and people were like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "It's a chiropractic table." They're like, "Well, that's not what my chiropractor does. They adjust me on the floor." And I was like, "We've got to have some conversation." So it's really, really important to do your due diligence and to interview your people. So in the state of Florida, to adjust an animal, you have to be a human chiropractor that's completed an animal course or a veterinarian. Both of those are doctorate programs, so undergraduate, postgraduate training, etc. Um, Really, there's IVCA and AVCA for animals, American Chiropractic Association, and International. Those are people that are keeping up with their continuing education. I'm a member of the American Veterinary Chiropractic Association. Those are the people that are going to keep up with the education, not just get the certification. A lot of people say that they do chiropractic. A lot of people say they're chiropractors. You do want to make sure that that person is a doctor of one of those two things. And for humans, it should be even clearer. It should be a chiropractor. And there's so many different techniques, and so many people are hesitant about chiropractic, but there's so many different schools of thought that looking into them and just asking them, you know, what techniques do you use? What does that mean? What philosophy do you follow? you can find someone that really fits into what you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. Selfish question for myself is like I have had adjustments before where sometimes like the neck ones, I'm like,
Mhm.
if you do that wrong, is there a risk of like breaking your neck? Like is like what kind of risks are we looking at?
No, that should never happen. So an adjustment is a high velocity, low amplitude, meaning it's really, really quick. It's very specific. It should not be hitting you with a linebacker. So it's very scary because what you're hearing is actually just the gas. Like if you popped your knuckles, just opening that joint space, and it's right by your ears, and it's your neck. And we've all seen those kung fu movies. Very, very scary. But I will tell you, if that's something that makes you nervous, you can either do NET with me to get rid of that feeling, or you can just ask your chiropractor or find a chiropractor that doesn't do manual adjusting. They can do instrument adjusting. There's a lot of other techniques that can get you there. And sometimes you just have to honor your body and stop trying to push through and go, okay, let's start here. And then your body will go, oh, I'm safe with that. Let's try something else.
Yeah, I love that advice. Okay. What are some of the most common issues you see in horses that benefit from chiropractic care?
Sure. I tell everyone if they would stretch their horse, they could probably put me out of business. So lack of flexibility is a huge one. So for me, and nervous system regulation. So the biggest thing that we see is a horse that's in this position. They're like nervous, they're up, you know, all of this is really tight. They may pull on the bit and then they kind of miss the top line muscles and a little bit of the booty muscles, the glutes. And what's really interesting is that if you are in a nervous system overload, if you're in sympathetic fight or flight, we've all heard that, you're actually only accessing certain muscles, which means that the big muscles that you need to hold yourself together aren't even really being fired. There's not enough blood to them. So that's what we see is there's so much stress. We're under stress. The horse is under stress. We're living under fluorescent lighting. It's go, go, go. It's the stress pattern, and that is also the same poor saddle fit pattern as well. So what we see is a lack of flexibility. The neck is really braced. The mouth is just hard. It's always a bigger bit, bigger bit, bigger bit. Our job is to be more sensitive, not to go up. And like the top line just not being flexible and the glutes kind of missing is probably the number one thing I see.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, how can a rider tell if their horse might be in out or
Mhm.
uncomfortable?
Sure. So I don't think a horse ever comes out to have a bad day. So I think behavior changes when you start to have to pull or fight or up what you're doing is a good indication. Also, learning to stretch your horses is the best way for you to understand where they are. Because if you stretch them and one is like, yes, and the other one's like, oh, I can barely move that arm, you're not going to get as mad when they don't give you what you want. And you're not going to get as frustrated because you're going to know exactly where they are. So I think stretching them and just kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt is the best way. And, again, it never hurts to just get a check. Even if you start with a massage therapist, just get a check of where you're at so you can know where you're going.
Yeah. I mean, I know you're at WEC. Are you mostly focused on like hunter jumper horses? Do you see horses across disciplines? And are the themes that you see different in the different disciplines?
That's a great question. I was kind of an eventer. So I started out in the eventing crowd and then I went hunter jumper and then I did some dressage people. And now I love to tickle my brain. I'm a learner. I like to get in there. So I love to do anything and everything horse related. Um, and it does depend on the discipline. You will definitely have different muscles. You'll have more of these guys with like your neck muscles, like being tight with the jumpers. You'll have dressage horses, they're tighter because they have that collection all the time, but they also have a better top line typically. Reiners, you're really going to get that underneath themselves. So, yes, it does depend, but I do see a lot of the same things because, in general, I feel like a lot of people don't cross train, and cross training is so important for core strength, and very few people stretch. So, that is the same things, just getting tight from being ridden in general.
Yeah. We actually had an Ask an Expert episode on cross training like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So people go check that out and
Yes.
learn something from Lisa about cross training. Where I think cross training is so important, and it wasn't something that I did a lot growing up. Other than, I mean, I guess we probably did the most cross training with our ponies because you're like going on a trail ride, you're going out cross country, you're doing like pony games, like all like that was probably the best life that any of my horses had.
See,
Um,
but that's it right there, right? You remember that little girl having fun, just doing stuff with her horse? Like, that's what I tell people. I'm like, "That's what we have to find our way back to." Like,
yeah,
yeah.
totally. Yeah, that
Mhm.
should be everyone's goal for 2026.
Yes.
Okay, is there ever a time when chiropractic work isn't recommended for a horse?
Absolutely. Chiropractic is not the fix for everything. If you have a serious lameness, like the veterinarian needs to take a look at it. You can have different conditions that you won't want to adjust into that segment. So, kissing spine, I won't adjust into that area of kissing spine, but I feel like adjusting the rest of the body because of the compensation is very, very important. You're not going to fix a ligament. You may help the body heal from it, but it just depends. So absolutely, there's a million different cases that are not. We deal mainly with sport horses and performance optimization. So we're keeping them happy, healthy, and just kind of making it easier for them to do their job. So for the most part, veterinarians see them for the serious stuff, and I'm just getting to put the icing on the cake.
You're there for the serious stuff too. uh, how do you differentiate between something that needs a chiropractic adjustment versus a training or saddle fit issue?
I wish I could say you only need one of us. Usually, you got to have us all out on a regular basis to kind of differentiate that. If you see, so for saddle fits, the biggest thing I see is that if your horse is mad at you or walks away when you try to put the saddle on, that's a really good indication they don't like their saddle. People like to be like, oh, they're just fussy, or oh, that, well, if I didn't like those shoes, I wouldn't let you put them on me. And so I think that's a really good indication. Belly lifts is a really easy stretch to do. You just kind of scratch underneath their belly and they round their top line up. If your horse is not able to do this, it's an indication that it's too tight, that it's uncomfortable. That could be saddle fit, that could be chiropractic. So it really does depend. But looking at your musculature, if you're missing muscle under the saddle, the first thing I would do is have a saddle fitter out, and then a chiropractor or vice versa, so that they can see what it's going to look like. And then it's such a hard thing. It really depends, and we usually need them all. I mean, it takes a village to take really good care of these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a couple follow-up questions on that one. You mentioned having everybody out regularly. How often do you recommend people see you if they are like a regular client of yours?
Sure. So it depends on the level, what they're doing. It also depends on the rider. So a professional, I think a month is a really good timeline to just make sure everything's okay. That means we're on maintenance, we're not fixing anything. These guys work really hard. And for horses coming to the circuit, they're in stalls more than they should be. Horses are herd animals. They're isolated, they're standing around, they're not getting enough of anything. Just like us, we're going to Emma's patisserie a little too much. Maybe we're having extra martini with our friends. We need a little more care because it's a little more extreme. So every person and animal is different, and we treat them that way. But I would say 4 to 6 weeks is a really good benchmark for a regular performance animal getting regular chiropractic care.
Awesome. And then you mentioned the belly scratches for
Yeah.
stretching. Do you have like 3 or 5 easy at home stretching that anybody listening could go and try?
Yes, absolutely. And this will be launching in 2026 as well. So carrot stretches are fantastic. So what you should do is stand on the side of your horse by the shoulder, and you want to take a carrot from in front of their nose and ask them to bring their nose to their hip bone. Now, watch their head. They should be able to turn it before kind of like turning their nose under. And you'll see if there's anything going on in the upper neck, they'll be really resistant to start turning then. And as they stretch, they're actually stretching the other side. And so that's a really good indicator of how flexible your horse is, and where they stop tells you where they're holding a lot of their tension. So that's the cookie stretches. You do both sides always. And then you can do the belly scratches. Butt tucks are one that I would find a video on before you listen and try, just because I want you to be safe. So you stand behind your horse or to the side, and you're going to just scratch down, and you're going to ask him to round his butt underneath. This is the collection you're essentially asking for in the saddle. It's going to open up that lower back. It's going to stretch those glutes, and you want to hold it and be gentle, be kind, do as much as they need. You don't want to shock them. So a lot of people shock them and hold for like 10 seconds. And then the front legs, you can hold the hoof and kind of come out and down. I see a lot of people go straight up. That would be like me stretching you for the first time, assuming you can put your ankles really high. Not everyone has that flexibility, so don't push through it. Just stretch them the way you'd want to be stretched. And then you can also do one of my favorites in the hind end is to pick up the leg and actually like rest the toe, kind of where it's resting like that. And I do this before I when I'm grooming, and that just releases the low back, the stifle, and everything else, and they do it themselves. So they just learn to hang out like that, and then you switch sides, you do the other one. So yeah,
Those are great ones. I love it. Do you like the carrot between the legs?
yeah, I love everything you do with your horse. Any stretching and interaction with your horse, I'm absolutely for, and you learn what they need, right? Like
Yeah,
I don't need to stretch as much as somebody else. I mean, I can do like yin yoga once a week, and I wish I needed more because I enjoy it. But other people need to stretch twice a day, and that's just going to be based on your horse and what they're dealing with.
absolutely. Yeah, I think I'm one of those people who should be stretching twice a day, and I stretch twice a year. So
Uh huh.
just, normal. Okay, if we transition over to the rider for a second, we talked about some common issues you see in horses. What are some common issues you see in riders?
Most of our riders have low back pain because of the compression in the saddle. And most of the time, which is so interesting, horseback riders actually have very inactive glute muscles. Your glutes are your great stabilizers, which means that if you don't have them active or you're able to hold your pelvis in the correct position, which none of us are able to do unless we think about it, your back is taking on all of the trauma of riding, all of the compression, everything else. So, low back pain is probably one of the biggest things that we see here and why we co-manage with FitLab because building those glutes and waking them up before you ride so important. So here's a tip. It's going to sound very weird, but if you're sitting and you try to activate one glute, one butt cheek, and then the other, can you do that individually? Are they dead? Are they there? That's a way you can wake up your glutes before you ride or in the saddle to make sure that they're helping your back out. Neck pain as well. The helmets are heavy, they're big, and if you're spending a lot of time jumping or here, that's a lot of extra pressure. And then let's be real, our horseback riders fall off, stuff happens. So there's a lot of that that goes on here. But I would say that, and then just the imbalances, the stress of being in the saddle and being on circuit and having all that stress in your body, it makes it hard too.
Is there a big difference between the riders and the non-riders that you see?
What non-riders? Like the
Or,
amateurs?
like, do you I mean, or, like, if you ever, like, adjust a non-rider, like, somebody who
Oh,
has never been on a horse in their life, is it a big difference between that and somebody who rides every day?
oh yeah. Yeah, there's a lot. We horseback people, we are special. We're a special breed, and what were we taught? Get back on the horse, don't talk about it, let's go. So, there's that meme that floats around that everybody tags me in is my horse has a chiropractor and acupuncturist and I have
Yeah.
Tylenol. And I'm like, no, you could change that. But yeah, no, I mean, our bodies have taken a lot and people don't understand the energy transfer that happens when you're with a horse and think of how many horses you've ridden and how many interactions, everything like that. So yeah, we tend to be a tighter group. We tend to not have taken care of ourselves. So by the time we get to the office, it's more of an overhaul versus the traditional person.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it definitely takes a toll. What is your best advice for keeping riders' bodies feeling good between rides? Do you have any favorite stretches or exercises in addition to regular chiropractic care?
I am so excited for 2026 to come. Yes, we are also doing FitLab, going to launch as well. So really just doing a workout that is about functional fitness, not really like, I mean, lifting big weights is really important, but just testing yourself from side to side. What we notice a lot is that someone will like be really strong on the left side, but then really weak on the right. And so really trying to train yourself as individually as you can is going to help you identify your issues because we all cheat like champions, obviously. And then as far as stretching goes, like, I think that it just depends on who you are, but I would say I would focus more on stabilizing than stretching for most people. So working on your glutes, activating those, like I mentioned earlier, you know, waking your abs up before you get on. No one really warms up before they get on the horse, and that's not entirely fair to your horse. Um, so I wish I had more of a specific answer, but there's just so many things depending on the person.
No, I think that's great. Even just the advice to warm up before you get on, that
Yeah.
is life changing. That, like,
Yeah.
no one does. I mean, I don't know about no one,
No.
but most people don't do that. That's really smart. Like, you don't go out for a run without stretching or do, like, dynamic
Hmm.
stretching first.
Right.
Um, okay. So if we think about the horse and rider together, when you adjust a horse and rider pair, does in your experience, does working with the horse or the rider have a bigger overall impact on performance?
The rider.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. The rider definitely. The horses for me, like the rider's actual adjustment makes such a difference because they're the ones that are kind of driving the ship. And then on more like an energetic release for the horses to learn safety in that position. So say they've had a person that accidentally spurs them every time with their left leg because it's a little overactive, teaching them that you can just touch that area and until they relax and they go, so that they're not anticipating that will help relieve that pattern. But if you have a horse that's waiting for you to spur it, even if you're not going to, you know, it's going to constantly be in this position. So I think that it's both, but from a chiropractic only standpoint, probably the rider.
Got it. That's super helpful.
But do
Um,
both.
yeah, but do both, of course. So how we already asked this for horses. I guess riders probably the same. How often they should be adjusted to do also monthly? Is that what you're saying? Thinking?
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's so varied. Like, I have some riders that, I mean, they don't need it. They are on it. They do their stretches. They eat clean. They eat healthy. I mean, everything is great. And then I have the people that are like, I don't know what happened. I haven't had a chance to do anything. You know, that's the majority of people. We don't have time, right?
Yeah,
If you don't give your body support, then you're going to need to see us more because you need the support. If you're going to give it support, then you get to see us less. But yeah,
got
about
it.
4 to 6 weeks is maintenance. Everything's good, everything's groovy. You're just checking in to make sure there's no interference.
Okay. I just got a great member question. When we're talking about the horse specifically, um, what can you give us an example of like what the actual adjustments you're doing, like what parts of the body you're going to and how you're adjusting them? Like what does that actually look like?
So I adjust pretty much everything on them. I check their jaws, I check their highways, I check their tails, I check their feet. Again, I love to fix the picture. So for me, I go in, I give them a chance to come to me. I think that's really important. And I kind of just do a general scan. In that time, I'm giving their nervous system a second to go, okay, no one's doing anything. And I'm looking at how they're standing. I'm looking at the way that their muscles are tight or if a muscle's missing. And then I kind of just walk through. And this is the intuitive part that I'm really leaning into and want to teach other people to lean into is sometimes I just trust my hands where they go first. And sometimes I'll just hold it over their low back or hold it somewhere else and they're just start yawning and releasing and relaxing. And then you just kind of follow that journey to wherever that takes you. But I mean, I check every single joint in their body, and your chiropractor should. It shouldn't just be a spinal adjustment. I mean, these animals are doing things with every part of their body. So a lot of the times too, I'll start with the mouth because even if we're perfect, we pull on them sometimes, right? And they hold so much tension in their jaw and from having a bit all the time. And if you haven't had your horse forever, you have no idea their memory of what was in their mouth. And so being able to release that and let that go will completely change the horse's facial expression. You can also look at your horse and look at their nostrils. And if one's higher than the other, that's usually the side that you pull, or they have an old memory of somebody that's hanging on their face. Can also be teeth, can also be whatever. But if it's a chiropractic thing, there's a lot to do there. So and what's interesting too is your TMJ joint in your jaw is one of the top 3 areas that tells the body where it is in space. So you want that clear and receiving so you can have that communication.
Yeah. What does that even look like to adjust their mouth?
So, my hands get slimy a lot. So what we'll do is I will go in and I will actually just like, well, first off, I'll look at them. I'll run my hands down underneath their chin and see if there's anything there over their TMJ. I'm looking for symmetry or I'm looking for lack of symmetry. Sometimes there's dental issues, so I'm always really like just kind of feeling it out and seeing if there's anything I should be aware of. And you'll feel there's so much tension and crunchy stuff. You probably have it on YouTube right under here. And then I'll go in and I'll open their mouth. And when I'm doing that, their reaction tells me a lot of how the bit has been for them. Because if I go and put my finger right in, they're like, cool, right? Or they're like, oh God, don't touch my mouth. You're going to do that. Oh my God. And so part of it, sometimes I just stand there and go, okay, I'm just going to put my finger right here and take it away. And they're like, oh, you're not going to pull on my face. I love that. And then I get in there and then I will hold their tongue and I will follow and like stretch all of this. So you have a hyoid apparatus that the tongue attaches to and muscles from the shoulder attached to. So if this is all gunked up, you're going to actually not have a really free shoulder and front end motion, and then it just ties in. So I'll do that and then I'll check both sides. And then sometimes I'll actually put my fingers in like a bit and test to see how responsive they are to bit pressure. And you want a horse that can just do it like that, right? Just think it and do it. And I can tell what my rider's doing, and then I send my rider in here to get fixed. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. It is so, so cool what you're offering. Are there any warning signs that a horse is compensating in a way that could lead to future injury?
I would say one of the coolest things to do is get up on your mounting block without a saddle and look at your horse. Okay. Know what your horse looks like from that angle because you'll see if a shoulder's larger, if you're missing muscle behind, and do that through the whole body. And you really shouldn't have any pockets missing, regardless of your discipline, regardless of anything else. You shouldn't have something bulbous or things like that. And kind of look at that. And then, do they have any glutes? Like a lot of the time, they're missing glutes, and everyone's like, oh, they're just skinny, or oh, they've got a big withers. No, I don't really buy that, to be honest. So, just kind of getting to know your horse and what it looks like is one of the best, like the symmetry from side to side is probably the best way to just look and see, what's going on. Is something changing? Put your horse in a halter and just gently ask it to turn its head both ways. Doing your carrot stretches, doing the stretches, you're going to see those asymmetries and combat them so much quicker than if you wait until they present themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so a lot of times, I mean, I think every time I've gotten adjusted, the chiropractor will always be like, "Okay, one of your legs is like way longer than the other one." Why is that? And is that like that feels like it always feels kind of silly to me when I hear that. And what causes that? Is that really common? Tell me more about
It's
that.
very common. It's very, very common. And I think it was like, it's such a cool way because as chiropractors, we feel things that you guys are not going to understand all day long. So when we can see something that you could see, we get really excited because it's like, look how different. And then it's cool because when you lay down, depending on which way your pelvis is, sometimes it'll look longer, which your leg will actually look longer because your pelvis is turned in a way it shouldn't be. And so that turning will create that, and then you can actually adjust it and it goes back to where it was or where it should be, and you're like, yeah, people can see this. But it's not like your leg is actually longer. It's just that your pelvis is in a position, your body is in a position that it's not in good feedback. So the Wi-Fi is not working, we got to turn it back on essentially.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad to know that that's a common thing. I'm always just
Yeah.
like, this feels crazy. Okay, what is one thing every rider could do this week to improve alignment or symmetry in the saddle?
Mhm. I would say challenge yourself to put your reins down and trot and feel your center and see if your hands are moving. Like that's something to test yourself. And then as far as just automatically improving your alignment, I would say sit in the saddle at a stand, and I would say tuck your pelvis and engage your core. See if you can feel that difference and then see if you can maintain it while you ride.
Those are awesome challenges. Guys, get out there and do this. It's
Let me
I love that.
know.
Yeah, report back. We wanna hear. Okay, if you could get every rider to understand one thing about chiropractic care, what would it be?
Chiropractic care is about nervous system regulation and helping you be your best self, not popping a bone back into place.
That's yeah, that's great. I love that. It's not all just about cracks.
Yeah, and so many
uh,
people are addicted to that, and I mean, I was too. I was one of those people. I was like, "Yeah, watch me, like, let me get in there," and, you a lot of people get really far like that. I'm not, like, poo-pooing on people that practice like that. There's just so much there's, like, another layer, and I love that extra layer because it's like, "Well, why is it like this? Okay, well, how do we fix it? Well, is there an emotional connection to that? Is this because every time your mother's around and watching you, you feel stressed and you tighten your jaw? Well, then how's that gonna affect your horse if you're riding with a jaw that's" like, all of these things that people don't think about, my ADHD mind loves.
Me too. I think it's awesome. Okay, so we've covered a lot on the horse, the rider, the horse and rider pair. What have we is there anything else that you want to clarify to get out there? Any other information that you just wish everybody knew about your expertise in equine and human chiropractic care?
Sure. I think the biggest difference that I want people to understand, and it's really changed my life, is the groundwork that I'm doing with horses. And it's kind of like grounding and allowing them to like find their center, which unfortunately most of us don't do. We're like, we got to do this. We have an agenda. We have this time. We have this ring time. And go stand with your horse for 30 minutes and ask nothing of him and you'll see amazing things. You'll see the body change. You'll see them relax. You'll see them actually stop eating if you're in grass and look at you and go, "Hi, I remember you." And it's the most magical feeling. And so I've kind of taken that and brought that into what we do. And it's slower and it's gooey and like all these things are just kind of coming together. So if traditional chiropractic is not something that you're into and you feel like you need more or you feel like it was too much, don't give up. Look around, look for people that are weird like I am and into everything that can fix it and don't get stuck on the chiropractic has to fix everything. There's so many other layers that we do. Um, yeah.
That's super awesome advice. And for people who want to work with you, who are based in Ocala as well, how do they get in contact?
Farmhouse Chiropractic. So our website's going to be launching soon. We have an old one up. Facebook is the best place to find us. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok, and our number is 352-812-0085. And you can actually text that number and we are located in Arena 2 at the World Equestrian Center. So you're more than welcome to stop by and see everything that we have to offer. We have we do dogs as well. I didn't really talk about them. We have IV therapy to support you and your hydration. We have an oriental medicine doctor. We have so many different things. I always forget to say something when I come on here. And we have tons of modalities ranging from laser to shockwave to cupping to dry needling, decompression. If we can help you, we'll find a way.
Amazing. I love that. Well, I think your phone is going to start blowing up. I'm sure it already does blow up, but even more so. And everybody definitely reach out to Dr. Jillian. I've learned so much from you in this time, but I'm just excited for to follow along and hopefully we get more opportunities to work together.
Yes, anytime. I love this. Thank you so much for your time.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone who submitted your questions. Thank you so much for doing so and have a great evening. Bye, guys.
Bye.